North Korea compares Donald Trump to Hitler and accuses him of being intent on world domination. North Korea has likened Donald Trump to Hitler and claimed he is intent on world domination by military means. Tuesday's diatribe came a week after nuclear-armed Pyongyang called Trump a lunatic as tensions rose following the death of U.S. student Otto Warmbier. The North is also concerned about an upcoming visit to Washington by South Korea's new leader, during which President Trump is set to push for more sanctions. The official Korean Central News Agency, KCNA, dialed the hostile rhetoric up higher, slamming Trump's key policies as being akin to Nazism in the 21st century. Trump declared at his inauguration in January that from this moment on, it's going to be America first. KCNA said, the American First principle advocates the world domination by recourse to military means, just as was the case with Hitler's concept of world occupation. Trump was following Hitler's dictatorial politics to divide others into two categories, friends and foes, to justify suppression, it added. The president blasted the North over its treatment of Warmbier, who returned home in a coma after being detained for 18 months in the hermit state. His administration is pushing for stronger sanctions against the North over its nuclear and missile programs. In an interview on NBC News on Monday, he said Kim's regime would probably have to be dealt with rapidly. Tackling threats from the North will be top of the agenda during this week's Washington summit between Trump and new South Korean President Moon Jae-in. A string of atomic and missile tests by Pyongyang, and threats of military action by Washington, have heightened tensions on the peninsula. Warmbier's death added further strain, with Trump slamming the brutal regime of the North's young leader Kim Jong-un. The Trump way of thinking that the whole world may be sacrificed, just for the better living of the U.S., has put even its allies and stooges in a pretty fix, KCNA added. It accused the U.S. of blocking medical supplies in what it said was an unethical and inhumane act, far exceeding the degree of Hitler's blockade of Leningrad. The 900-day siege of the Russian city during World War II left millions dead. The North habitually denounces its enemies in colorful terms in its propaganda, but comparisons to the instigator of World War II are unusual even by its own standards. A notable exception was the hawkish former President George W. Bush, who included the North in his axis of evil along with Iran and Iraq and called then-leader Kim Jong-il a tyrant. Pyongyang responded by calling Bush a tyrant that puts Hitler in the shade and a political imbecile bereft of even elementary morality. The North has often used bombastic and sometimes racist and sexist rhetoric to slam other world leaders for actions that displeased the regime. Pyongyang compared former U.S. President Barack Obama to a monkey after he supported the 2014 cinematic release of The Interview, a Hollywood comedy mocking the North Korean leadership. It once called the former South Korean President Park Geun-hye a crazy old bee and a female prostitute who belonged to the pimp Obama.